Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie and welcome to the very first episode of the Little Mitch Stitches podcast. I have had a YouTube channel for about 2 years and I am finally ready to commit to a regularly scheduled podcast episode. I live in New York with my husband and 2 little boys who are all out of the house right now, so I can have some quiet to record, and also 2 cats who are usually pretty quiet and hide during the day because of said 2 little boys. I love to knit and crochet and do other crafts as well, but mostly knitting, also mostly crochet. I am a stay-at-home mom that is currently homeschooling my 5-year-old for kindergarten, and we are loving that and the freedom that we have and the fun things that we get to go do with that. And shockingly, not shockingly, I don't have very much time for knitting. So my intention is to do these episodes every 2 weeks because progress seems to be very slow for me these days. I think 2 weeks will be a good amount of time to give me some projects to work on to build up something to talk about. I have been knitting for, oh my gosh, I've lost count. Let's not count. No, wait a second. This October, it'll be 20 years. 20 years I've been knitting. And then that means that I have been crocheting for almost 25 years, probably around this summer. Do I have that right? Yeah, 25 years I'll be crocheting. That's crazy. That's more than half my life already, which is kind of awesome too. All right, so let's jump right into things. Okay, so let's start off with some finished objects. Obviously, first episode, I can't really show you too much. But what I have finished recently are a bunch of hats. Actually, I don't count a project as finished until it is wearable or usable. So I crocheted these hats at the end of December and the beginning of January, and the ends were not woven in until a couple days ago. So that to me counts as a finished object, not until just now. So I did just a bunch of basic crocheted hats. Oh, there's the other one. I did 4 of them, just trying to get yarn out of my stash. This yarn was left over from Halloween costumes. We were Minions for Halloween, and if you saw my Vlogtober videos at all, you would have seen our costumes. I have made my boys' costumes every year since Jax was born, and this year they were Minions, and I made the Minion hats, and then my husband was Gru, so I knit him a scarf in these colors. And because this is Lion Brand Pound of Love, it is a massive skein of yarn. There's a ton left over. I've still knit other things and I still have yarn left over. So I knit those. Those are done. No, I did not knit those. I crocheted those. Those are done. And then I did knit this hat. I teach an adult ed program in a local high school, and my students did not want to stop meeting at the end of last semester, which ended either, I think in November, because I think we've been meeting at a Panera Bread to have some more classes, just independently, whoever wants to come and get some help. And then they decided that they wanted to do a project, and they wanted to do some color work, some stranded color work. So some of these people just learned to knit this fall and they were jumping into stranded color work. So whatever floats your boat, if you're motivated to do it and learn it, then you will learn it. So I whipped up this hat for them using more of my leftovers. It's way too big on me. So this was my first attempt. And yeah, too big. If I turn my head upside down, it falls off. If it's fine, it's good for curly hair because it's not like squishing my hair, but it's too big for my taste. So that will probably wind up in a donation pile at some point. And that's all I have finished recently, but I thought I would share. This is my, I don't know if I can stand up. This yarn is like my dream yarn from Fuse Fiber Studio, which is no longer in business. It was their show colorway. I think it was called City Lights, but I'm not positive. But it was a show colorway at Vogue Knitting Live a few years ago in New York City. And not too long after that, I think, is when they closed up shop. And I was so sad because their colors were beautiful. And this yarn has held up really nice. So this sweater is, I believe it's called Naveen by Kate Oates. It was a test knit that I did, and I love this sweater. I want to knit it again. I just haven't decided if I'm going to rip this one out and re-knit it with this yarn or knit it again with different yarn, because this one doesn't fit me. And that was no fault of the designer. It was 100% me. I don't remember if my gauge changed at all, but I knit this when I was pregnant, and I was very pregnant. So my size was very different, and I knew that was going to happen, but I liked the shape. I don't think I can get any higher. It's a little, it comes up a little here, and then it goes longer, a lot longer in the back, and it has this detail here on the back, but it does have like an A-line shape, and it's just really comfortable. I don't know, partially it's the yarn is really comfortable. It's nice and soft without being too pilly. It's like soft, but not fluffy soft. But I really love this sweater. I do think I need to make it in a smaller size though for myself, not pregnant. But this would be great if I get pregnant again and to have another sweater that will actually fit me, because my only other sweaters I have that were actually kind of fitting me were my 2 boxy sweaters for Hohi Locatelli. But I thought I have a couple sweaters that I can wear during podcasts, at least if I don't have finished objects to talk about. So here we go. Okay, so for finished objects, let's start off with that adult ed project that I was doing. I'm calling it adult ed, even though it's not technically my adult ed class, but it's all of my adult ed students that pop in and want to keep going and keep learning in between semesters. So the inspiration for the color work projects was that one of the women wanted to learn how to make leg warmers. So she saw someone at the store wearing leg warmers, and she was like, I really want a pair. So that's what we went with. I think most of the people in the class actually wound up doing the hat. It's also smaller, so it makes it a little easier. But some of them did do the leg warmers, but then they wore them and said that they didn't think they were the most flattering look on them, which is fine. We can figure out what to do with them. But this is my first leg warmer. So this was what I knit first for my class, and then I did the hat, and now I'm finishing up the second leg warmer. I'm not a leg warmer person. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I knit them because they wanted to do this, so I whipped it up. I almost was wondering if I could make it into a headband, but it's not long enough. Oh no, that would not work. Never mind. The second one is almost done. I've been working on this as much as I could, except I have to keep ripping back because I'm trying to work on it. Either I'm really tired in the morning or I'm really tired in the evening, and there's children running around distracting me. So I've made a few mistakes. I had to rip back a couple times, but this one is done except for the top ribbing. I figured let me get this to an easy part, and this could be a good project to work on when I'm tired and not able to think anymore, to finish up, because there really is no deadline for this. It's really, I just want to get this yarn used up and finish up this project and maybe gift these to someone. I'm not really sure. I don't think I'm going to wear leg warmers, especially this winter has not been cold where I live in New York at all, so I don't really even have a need for them. But that's my first project that I've been working on. It's almost done. It should be done by the next time I talk to you. Theoretically, I'm not very good at finishing my projects. And this is how much yarn I still have left of that Pound of Love. These skeins are massive. I think there's like 1,100 yards in each one. They're kind of like a heavy worsted to an Aran weight, and for an acrylic I actually really like this yarn. Like, this might be my favorite acrylic. This might be my go-to for charity projects from now on. It's just not the biggest color selection that I can tell, and also you have to buy a massive amount of it. So I was fine with that when I bought it because it was for a scarf and I figured I need a lot. But I am preferring this over really any other acrylic that I've been using. I use a lot of acrylic yarns for my adult ed classes because what's easiest and most accessible cost-wise for my students is what's available at the local Joann Fabrics, and that's where I got this. No, I bought this at Michael's, but I try to pick things that are easy for them to get, not too expensive, because if you're a knitter or a crocheter, you know how expensive this hobby can get. So I try to keep the cost low for them in the beginning. The project I've been working on a lot also is my half and half triangles wrap. I'm in the middle of a row, which of course is not what you want to do in the middle of a video, but I'm not very close to an edge to finish it off. So this is a project that is a knit along with Madeline from the Mad About You podcast. I love her video podcast. You should check it out. She lives in Australia. She recently took off a couple months to just go travel. She just finished. I don't know if she went back to school. I think she's gone to college before. Now she went back to school to become a teacher, and she finished her degree and went on a European vacation with family and friends and went Greece, Amsterdam, London. I don't even know where else. She went to so many places, and then she came here to Rhinebeck. And she was the only person that I really wanted to see at Rhinebeck, and we never crossed paths. I was so disappointed because when again am I going to see someone who lives in Australia? I am probably never going to make it there, and she may never make it back to here. But that's okay. We will see each other on the internet. So I am doing my half and half triangles wrap, which she is doing as a knit along. I think she's using the yarn called for. It's a Pearl Soho pattern. I don't know if there's actually a designer's name to it other than just Pearl Soho, but they use, it's a linen blend of some sort. I'm not sure what it's blended with, but I am working out of my stash and being really good. So this is yarn that I've had in my stash since longer than my husband and I have lived together, because I had special ordered this yarn to make a sweater and I never did. Shocker, surprise. It is, oh gosh, I think it's Canopy. You would think I would know by now. It's Canopy from the Fiber Company in Obsidian. So I had 10 skeins of this at one point, but I could only come across 4. They are 50-gram skeins. I can only come across 4, which is what I need-ish for this project. I'm really hoping I don't hit yarn chicken in this. And I have a lot of breaks in my yarn. Where are they? You can see a lot of little tails hanging. We had a little fiasco with the ball winder. Jax, the 5-year-old, was helping me wind yarn, and he was doing fine. He wasn't misbehaving or anything, but I think he started going the wrong direction or slowed down and started again, and the yarn popped off a little, and it got caught on the underside of the ball winder, and I ultimately had to cut the yarn to get it apart. It was like jammed in there, and so there's a couple little balls. Also, I found I'm very particular about joins in yarn, so I found a spot in the yarn where I had to break it because it was where 2 ends of the yarn in the mill had been joined, and they just kind of overlap them, and they use a machine that kind of like, oh, it looks like it almost felts them together a little bit, but like the littlest pull and it comes apart. So I am not leaving that in my project for it to break apart at some other point. I would rather break it now and weave in the ends. So we've got a lot of ends between the breaks in the ball and the joins and whatnot. But so the half and half triangles wrap it's going to be a triangle in this shape and a triangle, not this shape, a triangle in this color and a triangle in another color that you can fold in half and wear as a triangular shawl, or it's like a big square wrap. So my other color that I'm using with it is my favorite dyer, Lamb Strings. Shanna was a local dyer. She has moved off of Long Island to, I'm not sure where. Somewhere in the Hudson Valley. I don't know if she's Dutchess County or not. I know she is kind of close to Rhinebeck, in that area. So she's not super local anymore, but she's still local, and I love her yarns. And this is the full skein from her advent calendar in 2021. I completely forgot to order my advent calendar for 2022, so I didn't have one this year. So next year, when I like the picture on Instagram, I also need to immediately go and buy my advent calendar. But this one is called Holiday Spirits, and it's kind of a pinkish, little bit of like oranges in there. It's a really beautiful color. It's not my color normally. I'm not a pink person, I say as I wear this sweater. But this sweater's gray with like a lot of other colors on it. But that's also this color. Like there's some black in there, some brown. So it's just really pretty, and I wanted to do something special with it. So I decided to use this with my half and half triangles wrap because, again, I was trying to work out of stash. So I thought these go really well together. The black will be like a nice neutral side and the pink will be a nice fun color side. But I only have 1 skein and I need 2 skeins. So we'll talk about that later. The next project I have on my needles is one that was supposed to be finished in November, then in December, and now I'm really behind. So in November, I started working on my kids' advent calendar. I was knitting these little socks to use as an advent calendar. My inspiration was twofold. It was both Mina Phillips of the Knitting Expat podcast. She took her daughter's socks from her first year of life and used those as an advent calendar for years. And for years I've said, I gotta do that. And then Katrinkles made these little buttons, these little stitchable buttons that have a number on them. And I mean, they're intended to use for an advent calendar. So I decided this is what I got to do. And then the yarn that I'm using is from my Sleepy Fox Yarn Company advent calendar from 2019, I think. Pretty sure that was the year. So the colors are all Christmas inspired or Christmas holiday type of things inspired. So I thought, because they weren't a sort of like cohesive look, that they would be perfect for kind of like a crazy looking sock collection advent calendar. So I have right here 1 through 18. These were all finished by December. Obviously my kids didn't finish their advent calendar because I didn't finish their socks. Number 13 is missing. I'm not sure where it went. The kids kept untying them from where I had them hanging up. So 13 is missing, but there's 1 through 18 other than 13. So just yesterday, picked this back up because when I was writing my list down for this project, one of my goals is to get a few socks done every month so that by December I have 2 advent calendars since I have 2 kids. So I'm a little behind. This one was mostly done. It just had a dropped stitch that I had to fix and then sew the button on. Yeah. I recorded that and I'm going to put it up as a shorts or maybe a reel on Instagram. I'm not really sure yet, but I fixed that yesterday. And then this one, I finished knitting this one yesterday and stitched the button on. So I knit all of this one yesterday. I am up to the point where I cinched the toe closed and now I just have the yarn still attached. So I have to weave all the ends in and sew on the button. And then I cast on the next one. And that's all I got last night. But my goal is to have 2 advent calendars by the time December comes. My goal originally was to do 2 or 3 socks a month, but I have to up that number now because I will not have 2 advent calendars done if I only do 2 socks a month. So I have to rework my numbers there a little bit because since I didn't finish the first one, I also have to do, where is it? This is the full skein that came with the advent calendar. It's got a little bit of like icy blue going on and then like some Christmas colors. So I want to make day 25 out of this yarn. And I also want to make myself a pair of Christmas socks out of this yarn because I don't have any Christmas socks. And I think that's a problem. I actually gave away a lot of my socks for Christmas. I went through my sock drawer and found all the socks that I don't like, don't fit me, am not wearing, don't love the colors, just didn't feel like I needed anymore. And I gifted them to my mom for Christmas because I try to knit everyone in my family socks for Christmas and she has gone 2 Christmases without socks. So I figured let's give her a whole bunch of socks. We're close to the same size, so it works pretty well. And then of course, within the past week, I have blown out holes in 3 pairs of my socks. So I only have like 3 pairs left. So now I gotta knit myself some socks, but that's good because I have so much sock yarn to get through. One of the other projects that I am working on is a pair of socks for my mom, but I'm not gonna show those because they are in my backpack. I forgot to get them and it's just plain pair of socks. Nothing too crazy there. I don't do like majorly patterned socks. That's just not for me. I like socks as a in my purse on the go kind of project. So they're usually pretty simple. This one is just a broken rib and yeah. So that only gets worked on when I'm out and about. The other project that I'm working on that I really haven't touched too much until later this month was these diamonds. that I've been crocheting, and they're going to get stitched together into like a starburst pattern to make a blanket for my sister-in-law. Whenever someone in my family graduates high school, my aunt, who taught me to crochet, makes them a blanket. So we all have the same blanket in different color schemes, and I've always wanted to make one of these blankets, but the way my aunt does it, she uses a variegated on one side of the triangle. So like one half will be a variegated color and the bottom half will be a coordinating color of solid. She does it with, I mean, I'm guessing it's all Red Heart, Super Saver, or the like from the craft stores. And I just don't have that kind of inventory of acrylic yarns. And I also don't think that my sister-in-law would like that. So what I did was I went and got some yarn in her school colors. This is Red Heart Soft. So Michael's had this on clearance over the summer, and they were like the perfect colors for her school colors. It's perfect because she's in college, and if she washes it, it won't get destroyed. I'm not going crazy on something too expensive. So the only thing that I don't have is a gray color to join them together. I bought one skein of something and I'm kind of sampling it to see if I like it because it's not the same yarn. So I want it to be something that still kind of matches this shiny, soft yarn. So we'll see how it goes. But this is just something I was working on it a lot, and because it's acrylic, it was really hurting my hands. I was getting a lot of hand pain from it, so I had to stop. And then Halloween came and I had to do those projects, and then Christmas was coming, so I was working on the Advent socks, and then Adult Ed was coming, so I was working on those projects. So most of my projects, as you can see, get put on the back burner because of other things that have to get done for some reason or another. So I know I'm going to have to put a lot of my projects on the back burner coming up soon because of Adult Ed coming up. And for that class, I don't really have a plan yet. I'm kind of leaving it up to them what they want to work on. So we'll see what happens with that. But that is everything I've been working on, I think. Wait, what's this bag? Oh no, I lied. I forgot this one. Oh, in the beginning of the month, I went to Long Island Yarn and Farm, which is a local llama farm and yarn designer, I guess we call her. She designs yarn and fiber. I went to the farm for the end of Tabitha's 12 days of Christmas. She was doing a Zoom every night for 12 days after Christmas with a guest and interviewing them kind of, and then posting it on YouTube so you could check all of that out. But I went there. She did it in person and on Zoom on the last night. So I bought some yarn while I was headed that way. I ordered it online. I got these two colors, and all right. The white yarn is called American Life, LIYF, because it's Long Island Yarn and Farm. And the color is called White Picket Fence. It's a blend of alpaca, merino, and silk. And then the purple is also called American Life, and it is alpaca, merino, and sari silk. So you can see like the blebs of color are the sari silk. So they have slightly different fiber makeups, and the color is Purple Twilight. I love this yarn. I have other things I'm working on with this yarn, this one particularly. I don't know if I've ever used this one before. This is just kind of like, it's like the same yarn, but slightly different. And they are slightly different weights. I feel like the white might be a little plumper. But I was using these because I wanted to make another one of my hat from Adult Ed, and it is not done. It is so close. I just need to cut the yarn and thread it through and be done. Like what? Why am I waiting on this? I knit this hat 3 times. I had to rip it out because the first time it came out too big. So I took out a pattern repeat because this yarn is much thicker than what I used when I wrote the first hat. It was too big. So I ripped it out. And then it was coming out too small with one less pattern repeat. So I ripped it out. And then I reknit it in a needle size up. So now it's better. Let's try it on and see. I don't remember now. See, this is what I do. I finish the hat, but I don't finish the hat. This is why I have unfinished projects. My hair clip is in, so it's kind of getting caught. But oh, it fits. I love it. How's it look up there? I can't see. So I really wanted to put a pom-pom on this. I really wanted to put a white pom-pom on this. But I think I want to use that white yarn for something else. Oh, my hair's a little crazy now. So maybe I'll put purple pom-pom on the top because I have a bit of purple left. I don't know how much is left. I haven't weighed them yet. But that might be why I kind of just was like, okay, let's stop and figure out what I'm doing next. But I almost forgot about this one. Okay, let's talk about some acquisitions. There aren't too many of these. There are some. And hopefully there won't be too many of these in most episodes because I'm trying to downsize my stash. But like I said, I went to Long Island Yarn and Farm and I did get some more yarn there also. I got these 2 skeins of brown. Tabitha, for some reason, keeps saying nobody likes brown. I mean, I get it. When we see all the fun colors, we don't want to buy a neutral. So it's hard to sell brown at a fiber festival. But there is a need for neutrals. A lot of times, if I'm wearing this, I'm not going to wear something crazy to go with it. So I need a neutral, maybe not these ones, but I got these 2 yarns. These were just kind of random bits, I guess. Like, not bits because they're not little, but they were like maybe not full skeins or maybe test skeins. So it was just some extras type of things that she had laying around. She used to do this thing on Instagram called Fiber Room Fridays where she has a whole room of just like random stuff that she hasn't sold. And it's like extras or leftovers or things like this, like test skeins and stuff. So I bought these from her because I want to do something with these and that white from that snowflake hat. So that's this. Also, while I was there, I was so excited because Tabitha gave us little like party favors, I guess we can call them. And I have my very first Carly mug. So Carly was a llama that was born on Tabitha's farm a few years ago, and she had some medical problems. So as a fundraiser, Tabitha had gotten these Carly mugs and was selling them to raise money to pay for Carly's medical bills because she was a little newborn baby and she had to go get some surgeries done. So you can see the back of the mug here. I never bought one because I am on a very tight budget these days, and also I have way too many mugs, so I could not justify buying another mug. I support Tabitha in other ways, but I'm always a little jealous of everyone with their Carly mugs. So now I have a Carly mug and I've been using it just about every day since I got it. I usually like a nice giant massive mug. I have coffee in here. I would drink coffee all day if I could. I drink iced coffee only because I have children. And I don't think I've had hot coffee since Jax was a baby. But I have my own Carly mug, so that was my favorite acquisition, I think. The other acquisitions I have are not opened yet. I have, to find my scissors, I have this package from my friend Anjanette. She and I both had the Lamb Strings 2021 Advent Calendar. And Anjanette hates pink. Hates pink. She, yikes, almost cut the yarn. She, basically from the start, when I opened that full skein from our Advent calendars for my, the one that I'm using in my half and half wrap right here, I knew Anjanette was not going to like this. So I offered to buy it from her then. I offered to buy it from her other times. I finally messaged her and I said, Anjanette, I need that skein so I could do this project. Will you sell it to me now? Like, finally. So she found it. At first she was like, oh, I think I might have gotten rid of it. I was like, no, please don't have gotten rid of it. Oh my gosh. I didn't open it, obviously. Sorry for crinkling. She packaged it up so nice. Oh my gosh. Oh. Now, of course, in a lot of indie dyed yarns, there is no dye lots, so I'm not sure how well these two are going to match. It looks like she's got a very dark spot. Ooh, look at that bright pink there. Now I could have that hidden in my skein somewhere up in the twists, but I'm probably going to alternate skeins with this just in case. Actually, what I'll probably do is knit most of one skein, alternate skeins until the first skein runs out, and then just finish with the second skein because I don't want to do it the whole time. But Aunt Jeanette is a doll, and she put something else in here. It says small weaving loom, something stitching 14 hooks, made in China. Oh my God. Oh my gosh, what is this thing called? I think it's called a speed weave. It's for darning. So there's the instructions. It's a little tool for darning holes in your knits. And I have a husband who very much loves his socks, very much loves his cashmere blend socks, but also very much walks holes into his socks within weeks of getting them. So Aunt Jeanette actually is amazing and bought me the Katrinkles weaving, little mending weaving loom kit. It's very similar to this, but it wasn't working for me because the holes tend to get so big that little thing was not big enough. And when I went to Rhinebeck this year, I looked at the bigger one and it's too big for a sock. And Aunt Jeanette and I was saying how I wanted to get a speed weave because it's similar, but it uses these hooks that you somehow like move them over and the hooks turn. And somehow that helps with weaving. And it's also wider. Oh my gosh, Aunt Jeanette, I love you. She gave me a Prezi. Well, I guess that means I have no excuses fixing those 3 pairs of socks of mine and countless pairs of Kyle's socks. All right, so that was the first package. Now I've got a second package. This is from Chrissy from the Knitting in the Heights podcast. She had a giveaway on her Vlogmas videos, and she drew a winner who never responded. So she drew another winner, and that was me. And I don't remember what it was. I know it was a skein of yarn, and there was other stuff, but I don't remember what it was. Oh. I'm going to make a second pair of Christmas socks after I make that first pair. This cute little snowman progress keeper. Oh, it's like little delicate speckles of green and red. Perfect. It's Lay Family yarn. The iron, I think that says Iron Bridge collection. And the color is Django. Interesting. And what else does she put in here? Oh, my kids are going to love this one. Hot chocolate. Actually, my kids and my husband are going to like this one. And, okay. We've got a Rockefeller Center postcard, Christmas in Rockefeller Center it's called The Tree and the Rink, 1952. I have never gone, oh no, that's not true. I have gone ice skating on this rink when I was in Girl Scouts, probably in middle school. Kyle and I went ice skating. Maybe that's a story for another day. We went ice skating at Bryant Park a few years ago. And that was the beginning of Kyle's obsession with hand-knit socks. We'll save that story for another time, though. Stashdown is a challenge that I started with my knitting group at the yarn shop I used to work at, like 2015, and none of us followed through. Basically, we were tracking what was coming into our stash and what was going out of our stash and trying to make it more going out than was coming in. And I don't know if anyone actually tracked the full year that year. The only year I have fully tracked what has been coming in and going out of my stash was 2020 for some odd reason, because everything else in my life fell apart that year. But Stashdown actually was good. And I actually got about over 4,000 yards out of my stash that year, which sounds like a lot, but also doesn't sound like a lot. So at the time, we were tracking by yards, and I realized that I didn't like how we were tracking that. And by we, I mean me. I was the only one doing it anymore, unless other people were doing it on their own. But I was doing it on my own. I realized that 4,000 yards of, well, let's say 100. 100 yards of this is not the same as using up 100 yards of this. My goal is to make physical room in my stash. I decided to start tracking by grams, like to really like encourage the getting rid of, getting it out, using it up faster, rather than just yards. Because I could knit 400 yards of this and it would be this gone. But if I knit 400 yards of this, it would be more yarn out of my stash. So I decided that I'm going to track by grams from now on. And I have a whole video on Stashdown that I will link for you to watch if you're interested in joining. Basically, I use this spreadsheet system to track what is coming into my stash and what's going out of my stash. No inventorying necessary. I am not taking all that stuff out. And I am not counting it all. I could be knitting with that time. And I can only imagine what my children would do to the yarn if I tried to take it all out. So, yeah, I have this whole spreadsheet system that calculates everything for you. If you want to join, check out the links I'm going to put down in the box below, because it's a lot. Watch that video, or at least the beginning of it. You don't have to watch the whole thing because some of it is a little extra. But if you want to downsize your stash or just have a better idea of what's coming in and out of your stash this year, feel free to join us. It's been a slow start because I think I have bought more than I used. So I'm really trying to work through and get rid of some yarn this year. I just have too much, and I'm running out of room for it, physical room for this yarn. And I'm not very good at destashing. So I really am going to focus on trying to use what I have and finding a project for all of that yarn, because I just got these 2 skeins of yarn. Plus I bought yarn. That's a lot of yarn coming in this month, and I need to balance that and get rid of some yarn. So I thought, first episode of the podcast, let's have a giveaway. Might as well. So I went through my stash, and actually at the end of last year, a friend gave me some yarn that she no longer wanted. And while I love most of it, I have 2 skeins that are just not for me. These are hedgehog fibers, skinny singles, and I'm just not a big fan of using singles. I don't have an immediate thought of what I could do with these, what I want to do with these. I love the colors, I really do, but I'm just not a huge fan of singles. I don't really make a lot of things that singles are good for, at least at this time in my life. There was a time where I did use a lot of singles, but right now a lot of what I make is like utilitarian, and this is not durable enough for life with 2 little children. So I've decided that I am going to give these away. They're kind of like a nice Valentine's-y color, nice Valentine's-y theme. I think I have some stitch markers I might throw in with it because I have too many stitch markers. I also have too many beads and findings and make my own stitch markers, and I'm still buying stitch markers. So if you would like a chance to win these 2 skeins, Chrissy, you should enter. I'm going to stash you up. If you would like a chance to win these 2 skeins, drop a comment down below and tell me what your goals are for your stash this year. Are you trying to grow your stash? Are you trying to downsize your stash? What are you going to do to try to downsize or upsize your stash? Yeah, so let's send these to a home that would rather have them. The colors are Crystal and Sin. So we have Crystal and Sin. Ooh. So one of the audio podcasts that I listen to called Best of Both Worlds, it's two women who are in their careers and also doing the mom thing. At the end of their podcast, they do their loves of the week. And I've always wanted to share, things that I'm interested in and loving at the moment. And I'm going to steal that little saying, loves of the week. Actually, I think they say love of the week, but I'm going to do loves of the week because I don't know if I could pick just one. So I want to share something at the end of every podcast that I'm just loving. And I am loving, my first love of the week is my Carly mug. I know I said it already, but I really do love this mug. It just makes me so happy to use this every day. And cute little baby Carly. And seeing all those baby llamas at Long Island Yarn Farm. If you don't follow her on Instagram, you should, because we have seen some awesome things. We've seen some tragic things, but it's really just true life on a farm. And I have watched live streams of her baby llamas being born, like literally coming out that mama. And we've followed along with the tragedies of losing some llamas and losing some baby llamas being born, stillborn llamas. And that's just a fact of life. And unfortunately, we seem to shy away from a lot of these things in our lives now, but you can't hide it when you live on a farm. So I think it's important to watch these things and learn. So, but most of it is fun. A lot of fun and games and lots of crazy animals. So you should totally follow. My other love of the week is going to be, I'm going to try to share some of my favorite either audio or video podcasts. So the first one that I want to share this week is the Nitty Witch podcast. Vanessa, I have been following Vanessa for a really long time. Like, I think as long as I've known my husband. But I didn't realize that it was her. So I used to follow her blog, I think, when she was making stitch markers. And then I must have followed her on Instagram because then I saw Nitty Witch podcast coming out. So I started following that and never really connected to the two until she one day was like, yeah, I'm making these for my shop, stitch markers. I was like, oh, okay. I know who you are. But she has a fun podcast. She does great vlogs. And one of the best things is that she started her own Discord group for her followers. So Discord is a website or app that is kind of like not social media, chat room, message board, very message board-esque, but it's private. So anyone can join it if it's open to links or whatnot, but you can get the link just by following her. You don't have to pay a membership or anything. But it's really just like an amazing group of people. And any of you who are here from that group, I love you all. I've started following so many great podcasts and people in that group. And I really just think that it's just a very supportive place. And people are posting their knitting, crocheting, spinning, dyeing. I don't know if there's any weaving. Cross stitch, animals, sharing about their days, a couple of knit-alongs that Vanessa has hosted. And I just really love the camaraderie that you get there. And everyone's just very supportive. There's no bickering or cattiness. So it's really just been a very happy place. So while I love Vanessa's podcast, also definitely follow her podcast. I really love the community that she has started to build there. She also does knit nights in the group, so that has been nice. I haven't been able to make too many of them just because they tend to happen right at bedtime for the kids, so no big deal. But on one of the first ones, I found out that she's actually originally from Long Island. We lived in the same town as kids. She's, I think, just maybe a couple of years older than me, 3 years older than me, so I wouldn't have known her, but I wonder if I knew her sister. I'd have to find out. But then she also told me of other podcasts to follow that are from Long Island. So it was just really cool to make that connection. And yeah, I've started following some other great people from there that I will share along the way. But just, I don't want to overwhelm one at a time. But there's so many video podcasts that I watch that are smaller communities. And I really want to boost those people. So I love Vanessa and her podcast over there. So that is my other love of the week, because that has led to so many good things, including, I don't know where it is. Where'd it go? Including Chrissy's podcast, Knitting in the Heights. I met Chrissy on my first Zoom knit night in Vanessa's group. So, and Chrissy and I have chatted quite a bit. Thank you for joining me this week in my very first podcast episode. Hopefully I will be very good at posting bi-weekly. I hope. Sometimes things can get a little crazy here. We're going to do it though. We're going to do it, and you're going to hold me accountable. Right? Please do. Anyway, make sure you like this video and subscribe down below. That really helps the YouTube algorithm recommend this video to other people and this channel to other people. Make sure you check out the Stashdown video. Definitely. And sign up for Stashdown, because I need more people to keep me on top of this, so I don't peter out halfway through the year, or even like 2 months into the year like I've done before. You can follow me on social media as at Crooked Knits on Instagram and Twitter. I don't really use Twitter, but it's there. And I hope you all have a great week, and be kind to one another. Bye.